Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. This is for the participants of the Tesselate garden demonstration series. It's the first installment on soil. And for those of you who participated, I'm not sure if you can recognize your compost bundles. Those are all 4 of them. What we plan to do is, like we said, the compost piles that you made were not the proper size to actually heat up and compost. But after all of your labor, we didn't want it to go to waste. So I took it back to my apartment. Took them back to my apartment rather. And I'm going to unpackage them and put them in a pile. Now I can tell from looking at it that that's not enough material. So most likely I'll have to add some greens and browns to it. This is a snapshot of my garden. I've got plenty of greens to go in. And I picked up some browns from the neighborhood probably about a month and a half ago. So I'm going to mix the greens and browns that I have, and I've got a little bit of manure left over. That was a 25 kilogram bag for anyone who's interested in repeating this project at home. I'm going to try my best to compost what you started and do you all justice. And so we'll be filming. I'm going to, of course, pile it up, maybe mix it a little bit, possibly add some more water, and then I'm going to cover it with this makeshift tarpaulin that I have. Gardening doesn't have to be expensive. If you look, this is an old sign, probably a billboard sign, a hoarding sign if you speak British English, that they just discarded. I picked it up somewhere in Ajman, I believe. I'm going to use it to cover the compost. I've got rocks all around that I can use to weigh down the tarp after I've mixed it and watered it. But you guys did a great job. You can still see in some cases that there's water running out, but in other cases it's still dry. So that's what we were talking about, being able to squeeze it and get a drop out. That's too dry, so it may need some more water. That's all right. So I'm going to stop the video at this point. Try and mix everything up, and hopefully before nightfall I'll have a pile for you all to see. If not, I'll film it tomorrow morning when we can see, inshallah. Thanks again for participating. I'll keep you updated, inshallah. Okay, continuing where we left off last night. I stopped by Village Garden and Agricultural Materials where we were yesterday, and I picked up some more of that cow manure and some more of the chipped up wheat straw that we used yesterday, in hopes of increasing the size of this pile. And this pile's been covered since yesterday. I'm just now uncovering it. I'm going to stick my hands inside to see if it's gotten any hotter. And believe it or not, it's actually warm in there, but it's not hot. So if I can stick my hands deep inside like this and comfortably keep it there, it's not hot enough. So that means it's starting the decomposition process, but that's just not hot enough. So what I'm going to do is kind of give myself a little plateau here so that the next couple of layers have something to sit on. And I'll keep the layers as they are just to make sure I'm getting everything on in proper amounts. That's it. So I'm going to turn the camera off for a second, get to work, and when this is done, I'll film it and tell you what I think. Okay, here we are. This is the rest of the materials. Like I said, I went back to Village Gardens, the garden center where we did the demonstration, and I got 2 more 25 kilo bags of the cow manure. Right there, it is right there. And so and as well, I got 2 more bags of the wheat straw, and then I grabbed some more local greens that are pretty much similar to the ones that you all used in the demonstration, except for the addition of the basil that I was telling you about. And then I grabbed some of these dandelions, which I don't think we had that many before, but the point is they're local greens. They're considered weeds by most people, and so therefore it doesn't bother anybody that I picked them and I used them. But that's our pile there. And height-wise, it's much larger and much wider than the pile that you guys communally brought together with the four compost parcels, I guess you'd call them, that we made. And just to check the height, I imagine that this paint bucket that I have sitting next to it, I should be able to double it, and it should be about the same height. Let's see. So let's go, and there you go. It's about the same height. So that means, to give you a rough estimate, if you had to do a measurement, that should be tall enough to heat up to that uncomfortable 50 to 70 degrees Celsius that we learned from Jeff Lawton in the video. So we're going to cover this all up. I've got my rocks ready. And just to remind you, like I said, one technique, I guess a hack, if you will, that I figured out is that being here in the desert, if I let all of this run off here onto the desert ground here, it would just be wasted. And that because I have this tarp propped up here on the sides, it's keeping all that water, precious water, because we're here in the desert, from just washing away. Now in a normal temperate zone, or even a tropical zone where everything stays wet for much longer, you would not do this. So what I'm teaching you, this is regional knowledge, regional experience. This is not going to be a problem for us. And remember we talked about squeezing the pile. See if we can get that one drop. There you go. That's way more than one drop. It seems like that it's too wet, like we talked about. But if I grab another section where the wheat straw is, for example, I can't get a drop at all. Not one drop. So these things, what they're going to do is, together, where you have it too wet, there's another spot where it's probably too dry. All this is going to soak up. For example, the wheat straw. The wheat straw is going to soak up some of this moisture, a lot of this moisture, right? These are going to swell, and then over the next few days, they're going to soften. The pile's going to get hotter, and we're going to have some beautiful compost, hopefully, inshallah, in 18 days. So that's it. I'm signing out. I'm going to cover this up, and in the next 4 days, this will be incubating. I'll uncover it and give you guys a report. So look how tall this is. What we want to see is that by the time this is completely composted, it should be not much smaller, or not much shorter, I guess you'd say, than it is now. It's not quite up to my waist, but it should be tall enough to get hot from experience. That's tall enough in this region. It is cooler this time of year, but the heat that comes from the pile is actually not external heat. It's internal heat from the microbiology. So the external temperature shouldn't make much of a difference because people can compost under snow. So let's do it. I'll get back to you in about 4 days, inshallah.